TGIF Warriors. Hope everyone had a good week. What a wild one. Hi, Sinatra, AJ, Mike. I think we gave you guys some good ideas in the midst of the panic on Monday, like getting long Aussie, getting short Canada. Hi, Glenn, Bran. Hi, Ryan, Mike, Blake's here. Okay. Who had a good week? Give me why. Hey, Marcus. Guys have a good week because a lot of people got chopped. Good for you, Mike. Anyone catch Aussie? The cleanest signal to me, hi Kurt, was this. Okay, you had a good week. All right, it's a key reversal in Canada. All right, well, if if you caught some of this stuff, and I know a lot of you guys are already in the community. If you're not, peel some off and get in the community. Okay, because we all need to get better, and you'll get better and or help others get better. If you ever heard the expression iron sharpens iron. So yeah, there's a mastermind happening in the communities here at ForexAnalytix. If you haven't noticed, Blake shows you every day. You have to get inside the chat rooms. So also to help others. I'm just going to say this because a lot of people forgot this principle. It's as old as time. If you want to have a crop, you have to plant good seed. You're not going to have a harvest if you're not planting seeds. Okay? You won't have a crop. So that means not only thinking about yourself, but helping others. Okay? Plant seeds. So you have an opportunity to do that in this community.
Well, how
And,
about if we don't have a green thumb?
well, you may not have a green thumb, but if you're helping other people, I'm a believer that, you get what you give. So you reap what you sow, and do something like that. It's an opportunity to meet some people that are like-minded.
You know,
Like,
Dale, I spent this last month meeting one-on-one with trader funding program. It was like if you took an
yeah,
assessment, it was a very successful program because and what I'm considering doing and what we are considering doing is just making it a permanent thing for certain trader funding program folks because I spent like literally all month meeting with our traders and there was a lot of them that were like, oh well, I didn't even know there was a community, and now they're in the community
oh,
and they're
how about
talking.
that?
And yeah, I met this gentleman. He's probably listening in right now. Good morning, Austin. He was I met him yesterday, and he's from Indianapolis. And we were talking, and he's a guy that he's like listening in before he goes to work, listening in to F.A.C.E for the last couple of years. Now he's like, oh, I can be in the community, and he's been talking to people. And then when he gets off work, he trades when he gets home in the evenings, and it's like, having that community and that ability to just talk to people about the markets and what's moving, it's powerful. It's big.
Yeah, it
And
is.
it is.
It's like 1 + 1 = 11.
Yeah.
Okay, it's different math when you're,
Wait, you stumped me
collaborating.
there for a second. Hold on. I have to grab my fingers. No, just
All
kidding.
right. Well, anyway, I mean, it works. I mean,
It does.
for example, I'm open to that there could be another new high in the S&Ps, even though I think there's one more shoe to drop. And it's not, it was someone who, learned my style and said to me, Dale, looks like you have two drives in the S&Ps, which, implies there could be a pullback and then a third. So even your own stuff comes back to you and reminds you. And then our discussion yesterday, Blake, about Canada, And, I was thinking to myself, so, you were talking about the correlation with Canada and the VIX. And I said, well, if Canada's USDCAD's peaking here, that's the anti-VIX trade. So if I'm correct about what Canada could do, it's certainly hard to be bearish risk, right? So I mean, that's the way it feels to me, is that you know maybe we get a lower dollar and that supports the market for another wave to the upside. So, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
keep an open mind and
definitely.
consider both cases, bull and bear case.
Definitely, and we were just it was just today in the chat room, and Joe had posted something from Joseph Bracelis, and he's a 40-year veteran, and talking about, the recession fears are overblown. And we have these conversations like all day long, and it's
Yeah,
how nice is it to have a conversation like that and feel I'm not going to be trolled on Twitter, with
yeah,
random people. I have no idea who they are. Just being in a community and have a discussion and a conversation about things is so vitally important. And Ryan, it looked like you were going to say something too this
yeah.
here.
Nice
Yeah,
candle
nice candle.
in Aussie too,
Thank you.
weekly.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah. Morning,
Good
morning,
morning,
chaps.
buddy.
Morning.
Morning.
I just want to add something quickly to what you were saying, Dale. There's something traders can do if you've been taught a lesson, if you've learned a lesson from Dale, from Blake, from whoever, and you apply that lesson to your trading and it works, go teach that lesson to someone else. Because as soon as you become a teacher of those lessons, it emboldens you to that very lesson even more. And
It
it just
does.
becomes part of your fabric. So, teaching people, passing things on helps you as
Yeah.
well cement what you've
100%.
learned.
Pay it forward.
Yeah.
Well, it makes you it in the way you're saying it, Ryan, is so true, and it really makes you how should I say accountable to what you're doing.
Yeah.
When like I have people will say, well, Blake, that's not a flag pattern based on what you look at, that the flag has exceeded
Yeah,
more than 50%
they'll
of the
call you on your
flag.
stuff.
Yeah, and I'll be like, yeah, you're right. I'm still looking at it kind of like that, but also as maybe a channel breakout. So you can treat it either way, or an A, B, C, D. But it does keep you straight, and it keeps you accountable. And that's important when you're trading, because you have to have accountability every step you do, because no one's pushing the button for you. No one. Right? You're
Yeah.
the one doing it. So anyway, we could go on and on and on. But what we should
Nice
do is
reversal week in WTI too. Look, you called that, Blake.
let's, I mean, it was easy to call as far as the move goes, but it's like, who wants to be short knowing
Yeah,
what's
right.
happening in the Middle East? It's
Yeah.
like, that's like but what I guess what the thing that's crazy, Dale, is I'm surprised it's as heavy as it is. Like, I don't understand why crude's not at $85 right now. And I'm saying that, and I don't trade
Yeah.
it. I don't know. I mean, people could say, oh, maybe it's a slowdown, or oh, I don't know. Or maybe it's supply. I don't know. It's just I know within a blink of an eye, or one headline, crude oil could be trading above $80 without even blinking. So
Yep.
yeah, anyway.
Anyway, our guest is for adults only, because I know, Blake, that we don't want to talk about things that could go wrong in the world, but there are things that you know I think everyone sees.
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure.
you're a veteran. I mean, have you ever seen us escalate towards war like this? Does this remind you of anything?
It does. And if you guys don't recall, if you go back to 1989, uh, we knew we were marching towards a conflict with Iraq. I mean, well, because I actually enlisted in the military as a Marine infantryman 9 months before I actually even went to boot camp, and before it all started. I mean, you could see it coming, a mile away, and it does. I feel the same sense of that, 40 years later or whatever it is,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so what do you think for the week? Like, that crazy move in VIX. I don't know
Well,
about you guys, but to me, you know how people were saying the VIX was broken, the VIX was broken.
Yeah.
And I said no, why? Because it hasn't rallied, it hasn't rallied. So now it rallied like, in the period of time like it's never done before. Now I admit the VIX is broken. When markets do this, it is also kind of a tell. You could say, oh, yeah, it was a massive short squeeze. Well, yeah, that was part of it, but look how unmanaged it was. I don't think it's a great message for the market when VIX does a candle like this.
Well, it's definitely, I think it was a pricing issue that caused it, but I want to show you something, Dale, and I'm gonna take the charts here.
Go ahead.
This is the one thing that worries me about the VIX. I would argue that it's not broken. I believe it's paused. But what this is something that this is like my chart that I used, not this specific one. I used the Pepperstone CFD, which is not as exaggerated, but I used this on the trade-off on Wednesday night. And I want you just to realize that the VIX is actually elevated now, and it's not breaking down. That is the
Well, I
chart.
wasn't talking about a direction. I'm just talking about the market action of what it did.
Oh, yeah.
Is not a good sign for it to have something historical like that happen. They didn't even make a market in options when that happened. There's problems with structure in the market for something like this to happen.
yeah,
Ryan,
Yeah.
don't you think so? Do you get a
yeah,
weird vibe when you see this kind of action?
yeah. It's people getting, you wouldn't put it past some in the market knowing that there were people who are so heavy one side it wouldn't
Oh
take
yeah,
much to knock them out.
everyone knew that.
Yeah.
It's
And
just
sometimes if the
lack of
target's big enough,
efficiency, right?
people are going to shoot for it.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a reason.
That's
Money,
that's a,
like
that's a good
everything.
point. Yeah. Hey, let's talk about a couple of things that's happening right now. So, we got, if you're looking at the futures here in the S&P, we are back at the 38% retracement. We're kind of in between fib levels, probably just enough. And if you look at the intraday stuff,
Okay.
excuse me, probably just enough to squeeze past resistance, maybe squeeze out the last bit of shorts, overnight in Asia and in early Europe, squeeze out some shorts and then reverse. I got to ask you this question, Dale, Ryan. You guys know what's happening obviously in the Middle East. And then from what I just read, one of the largest Ukrainian offensives have been put on today. I mean, we got two like potentially hotbeds brewing, and it's Friday, and
Yeah,
we've
who
just
wants to
had a
go home
recovery in
long?
equity. And what?
Yeah, yeah, who wants to go home long?
Right. And that was
Yeah.
the point I was making yesterday on the daily roundup. I'm like, look, if we don't get much higher than where we're at, you're going to get a scramble for the exits on Thursday, because we saw, if you guys don't recall, because I know most traders, myself included, have ADHD, and we forget what had happened yesterday. And we're like, what? Wait, what? That happened? If you don't recall, Nikkei was down 12% on Monday. Sunday night, Monday. What's that, Ryan?
Up 10% on Tuesday.
Yeah, but that volatility down 12% on a Sunday night. I mean, I was sitting on outside of my bedroom in the middle of the night at 12 o'clock, in the middle of the night, like looking at my phone going, holy crap, and I know half of everybody else was asleep. But these things can manifest over the weekend. So as Dale said, who wants to go home long this weekend with everything that's happening? So you got to be
I said
thinking.
exactly the same on the flow show this morning. You know, we have got this uptick in Ukraine activity, you know, launching an offensive, and you know there'll be a response coming from Putin. So it's possible that we're going to see a step up, an escalation in you know what's been going on for months and years or whatever.
You mean a
And
tactical nuke? You think he'll use one?
no, I don't think that, but it's gonna be a heavy response. He has to match Ukraine's heaviness with his own heaviness. He has to. So it's, as I say, it's a step up. And I think if we get something like that over the weekend, the market still thinks that it's contained, but you know now Ukraine's using more Western munitions and whatnot. You know, if there is a big just offensive and counter-offensive, it could shake markets. And then on top of that, you got this Israel-Iran stuff bubbling on. So yeah, we're at the point, I think, where I think people who are long risk assets are going to take a long hard look towards the end of the day and whether they want to hold it. And all traders should do that. You know,
And that's the
oil, long stocks. There's nothing wrong with closing it up and reopening early Monday, Sunday night, Monday morning if nothing's happened.
That's the exact point I want to make. It doesn't mean you have to be short, and it means that everybody's going to be defensive today. Everybody's going to have the guard up, which makes sense. And it's like the if you think about if you guys listen to my week ahead video on last week, I'm like, look, you know, if we wake up and there's been no offensive, you know, this was last week, and I'm like, we get in front of the markets on Monday, and there's been no offensive over the weekend. You got to buy the Euro Swiss, because anybody that was long Swiss as a hedge is going to unwind that first thing Sunday night, Monday morning, and after the whole you know, meltdown in Tokyo, you know, on Sunday night, Monday morning, I turned around, went long the Euro Swiss after the dust settled, and you know, it's been a great rally all week up until resistance. And you can play it the same way. It's like, yeah, people are going to be selling. You can see they're already selling it right now because they're like, hell, I don't want to be short Swiss francs going into a weekend like this, because if something bad happens, the Euro Swiss could literally be trading, not exaggerating, it could be trading below 92 cents come Monday morning. But if nothing happens, this selling is going to abate on Sunday night, Monday, and you can turn around and get long. You know, these are the types of trades that you should be thinking about on days like today, and thinking ahead, not just of what's happening on a 15-minute chart. Think about the environment we're in and how you can be tactical around this type of environment. That's why, again, I'm going to reiterate, if you're out there out in the dark, doing it on your own, in your own world, you should really be like literally in a community like the ForexAnalytix community, talking about, you know, what strategies you should be employing into the weekend, and going into our newsroom, reading all the important articles that are being posted, and into the trades room, and understanding what positions people are in, like myself, that are posted right here, and what everybody's doing. And you can be just kind of being engulfed in a community, and being able to talk these things out is so vitally important, especially in such a treacherous environment that we are in right now. So, you know,
that's not important just for the weekend. You know, the reason we make a big thing of the weekend is because markets are closed. You can't do anything. Okay.
Yep.
We could get a headline in the next 30 seconds that will see Euro Swiss down to 92s. So it's also knowing what the risks are when markets are open as well as when they're closed.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk the last couple of minutes. Thank you, Ryan, and thanks, Dale. Let's talk about Canadian
You're like
jobs.
Socrates.
What's
Huh?
Hey,
Ryan's like Socrates.
Ryan is. He very much is. He very much is, and he's got a great accent. You know, I'm most jealous of all you European accent people. You guys sound so smart all the time.
They do, yeah.
Yeah, I know.
You learn the hard way.
Yeah, we're just we us dumb Americans.
Ugly Americans.
Hey, so Dale, you were talking about the Canadian, right? And I just want to show you what really critical support we're on. I mean, it's a 618 retracement. It's obvious. With that, I mean, you don't you don't have to sit here and,
Yeah.
understand much to understand how important that support is. That little blue line right there.
Yeah.
We break below 127.25, strong Canadian data. Dollar CAD's going to come under pressure. I actually just took all my Canadian exposure off. I was long Euro Canadian. I just flatted it. I think I lost like 3 or 4 pips in it. In a Euro cross like that, that was basically flatting it. But you can see we're sitting right on support right now, and a break back above 137.70 is going to be bullish. That's on a weak Canadian jobs data. Ryan, do you have any feel for what this data, what we're expecting today? Are you looking at anything else other than the dollar CAD here?
No, obviously the data is going to be important for the state of the BOC and whatnot. They've still got hikes in mind. I think I would actually it's difficult. We're sort of bang in the middle of the wider range, sort of 138, 139, and 136. So I think if you're looking at the risk side of things, like you're talking about with oil, I think I'd trade the edge. If we see something maybe down towards 136, 136.50, I might be a buyer. If I see something up, 138, 138 and a half, I might be a seller.
Well, okay, so you say that like being a seller up here, that makes sense, especially if crude oil continues to bounce. That might work. Last month, if you're looking at historically here, last month the market was expecting 27,000 jobs to be created, and Canada lost jobs. If that same pattern happens this month, that's going to be, if you're looking historically, I mean, when's the last time we put back-to-back monthly job losses? The last time we did that was in 02. And remember what stocks were doing in 22, excuse me. Stocks were like moving lower at that point. Everybody thought we were going in a recession. You look at Canadian jobs, we lost both those months in a row, lost 2 jobs, two months in a row. That might shake the core of Canadian bulls if that happens again, wouldn't you think?
I will say one thing quickly while you got that chart up.
Yeah.
Is that Canadian expectations and forecasts are often way out. If you look at that middle column compared to what came out,
yes,
forecasts, it's wet finger in the air. So don't worry too much about the miss or beat. Worry about whether it's positive or negative and by
Wait,
how
did
much.
you say a wet finger in the air or wet finger in the ass? I couldn't understand exactly what you said.
Well, I like to keep things polite over here, Blake, so it's wet finger in the air. You American, what you do behind closed doors is down to you, mate.
I'm like, did I just hear Ryan say that? Nah, it's too early in the morning. Maybe I just miss her. Anyway, all right. Thank you, Ryan. I appreciate that. Dale, I know you're looking at the Canadian. How you want to play this one today?
Well, I think you have to sell rips. So if you're not short already. So
you're with Ryan. So you'd be more in the camp of, we see a move up to 138. You want to be shorting
20,
somewhere up here.
Yeah, 38, 38.20, all the way up to 70 with stops over the high of the move. I think that's going to be a big one. So why can't we retrace half of it?
Yeah, and no, I'm with you, and I want to show you guys. I just want to make sure everybody's clear. This data comes out later today. Let me go find the Canadian. This is the one thing that has had me freaked out. I'm gonna have to go find it here in a second. While I'm going to look
the COT.
Yeah, I mean, it's still everybody's
still extreme.
Yeah, it's so extreme. Everybody is so short Canadian dollars. And look, as I've mentioned to you guys, like over the last, I think this is it. Oh no, that's the Swiss franc. Gosh dang it, where is it? I'm trying to, 60. There we go.
The commercials have record, they're on the other side. And
this is, just so you guys can see it. You can see that green line. This is specs, right? This is historically like the commitment of traders that the CFTC reports every single Friday, and it's the data that's up until Tuesday. So today they'll report the data that was good up until Friday. But you can see large speculators short, historically massively short Canadian dollars. That means that they expect, let me just go backwards here. Whoops. They expect the dollar CAD, and I've said this a lot over the last couple months. They expect the dollar CAD to, go that direction, and they've been right.
They've been right from 36. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they've been right, but it's really poor positioning, just like the Nikkei was very poor positioning, and you saw what happened in that too, right? So that's the other thing that you got to be thinking about. If you're a positioning person and you're thinking about this, then and you're like, well, these guys, these guys are very on the one side of the boat. Maybe doing what Dale and Ryan are talking about is if we get a week data point and you see the dollar CAD rip up towards 138 and you think stocks are actually going to continue to bounce, then shorting it into strength might be a good play. It depends how you want to trade it. And I'm not going to tell you what the right way is. And I have no Canadian exposure right now. So I'm kind of going to take the neutral approach, and I'm just going to do a real simple.
I bet you have a bottle of Crown Royal on your bar.
I do. Actually, I do. Yes,
so you
I do.
have Canadian exposure.
That is a mainstay exposure in my home. Yes, that is correct.
Right.
That is a bottle that has no top. It has no bottom. Let's just put it that way.
What do you do with the purple sacks?
I have probably about 30 of them, and I've used them for coins. I use them for golf balls. I use them for everything.
All right. I like them.
Yeah, me too. I've got some pretty cool ones over the years.
Right.
Anyway, I got a little bit of collection going on. That says something about myself. That's not even cool. All right. So anyway, I think you should trade this and look at it more as a breakout or breakdown situation. So it's that's something that I think you should be approaching. Okay. So we're going to go into the data here in about 4 minutes. Let me end up with this. So Dale, what is your best idea going into this week? What do you want to do going into a Friday if it's not Canadian related? What else are you thinking?
Well, I took a shot at the short XLF, the banks up here, because XLF I went with, and we'll see.
So you're going long. XLF.
No, I'm short.
Okay.
All
right. Well, you keep telling me you're long risk, so that's what I'm leaning.
I'm not long risk. I covered shorts. I should just sat, and left everything alone. But yeah, I think that the banks, that was a pretty directional move. So looking for about 38 to 34.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense, especially if we can stop at this 50% retracement, previous support. I'd play it on the short side from here. If you put a gun to my head, I'd be like, "Yep, I'll take a short."
We're not going to have a bear market, and it may not be till October, but we're not going to have a bear market without having a bear market in financials. So that's
good point.
Really the key.
Ryan, what are you thinking? End of the week. What's your number one shaker upper?
Oh, like you, what am I going to drink later?
That would be a beer, I'm assuming. But anyway, what are you thinking about trading?
I'm kicking myself a bit because I didn't get off any more of my euro sterling down near the 85.50. I had a partial win, which didn't get triggered by half a pip. So
look at the by the way, look at this trend line and look at how it held today.
I've got support 85.50. It's one of my numbers we need to get below. But the pound's looking a bit more perky today than it has been all week. But don't know, ask me why. I didn't know why it was weak, and I don't know why it's going back to not being weak. Who cares? It's Friday. Let's go get drunk.
All right. So Euro sterling's going to be your focus, and you're going to be kind of trading around this today.
I'm looking to take a bit more profit, but I'll be looking at dollar CAD. I'm just going to try and range play it over the numbers, and then
got it. Okay.
What the market does for the rest of the day.
It's a tough one. I want to just show you guys this really quick. Dollar CAD and VIX. Just if you guys have never seen this correlation, just take a look at a weekly chart really fast, and just do that, and you'll see that during periods of high volatility, you tend to get breakouts. So in Canadian. So just keep that in mind as VIX.
10 seconds, by the way. 10 seconds, by the way.
All right. Well, let's go over to the data. Let me grab the This is from data flash from ForexAnalytix. Let me grab that. Let me put over the Canadian, and let's see the response. Weak data again.
Soft.
But the unemployment rate's a little bit better. That's the initial. That was the initial strength. Is Canadian unemployment rate came down. So mixed, right? I mean, nothing to do there.
Yeah, a little bit mixed. That participation, I'm just trying to read it all through. The participation rate came down, hence why that number was pulled back again.
Sure
But,
did.
yeah, it's
Full-time employment went up big time. So that loss was really due to part-time employment. So everybody shifted part-time to, that's why the Canadian strengthening even on a weak number right now. It's all full-time data or full-time employment. I would not be long dollar Canadian in this environment.
Hot wages as well. Wages jumped to 5.2% from 4.8 expected, but it was down from 5.6.
Blake, I have a long-term target, an Dale Pinkert target of 125 on the Canadian dollar. 125.
Really? 125. 125. You no up. That's a hell of a call, buddy. That's
down to 32 and break down under the 30. Well, first 36, then 32, and then into the 20s.
Nostra Pinkert's in the house, and if that happens, that means the S&P is going to
7,000,
8,500 by year end. So just
in
case you didn't know what might happen. Hey, just real quick, I know you got Tomas coming on. I'm just gonna tell you guys, Aussie yen. I talked about it on the trade off, and the title of my trade setup is while 98 I hate. So it's while below 98 I hate it. So it hit a high overnight of 97.45, which is a 38% retracement. Is drawing lower on this trend line while we're below 97.45 and 98, which is the underside of this 4-year broken channel, right? You got to stay on the short side of the Aussie yen. And this is a great risk reward to be on the short side right now, heading into a weekend with a lot of freaking risk. So,
that low we had on Monday,
38%
you're not going to get a
retracement.
bottom without some retesting and accumulation taking place. That's why you could have another flush in S&Ps and, the yen, it's not done going down. It's a weak recovery.
I don't think so either. I don't think so.
We got
so anyway, that's what I think you guys should be focused on. I've been trying to update you guys on Twitter and the ForexAnalytix Twitter handle for the last 24 hours on that one. So if you're not in the chat room, that was a freebie for you. So I hope you enjoyed the 100 pip move lower since last night. All right, guys. Well, Dale, I want to thank you. And for those of you that are not part of the ForexAnalytix community, it's $1 for 10 days. Jump in and come say hi. I mean,
say hi.
It's 10 days.
That doesn't cost you anything. Say hi. I tell you what, if you don't like it, I'll wire you a refund.
Dude, your wire fee would be $25. That sucks.
So Well, anyway, let me know if you don't like it. I'll wire.
How about PayPal, friends and family? It'll be a buck.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay.
It's much easier.
I'll Zell you a buck.
All right.
Well,
listen, there you go.
Great job guys. Again, Ryan. Great job all week. And
thanks, mate. Marcus, you too.
And Blake, good job.
Thank you, sir.
Dream Team did it again. We lay it all out on the court for you. Okay, so have a great weekend, team.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, bro.
Guys. All right.
You too, Dale. Thank you.
And Thomas, I want to warn people that if you're Pollyanna and you don't want to hear about scenarios that are possible that we might be confronting here, have a nice weekend. Thomas, welcome back.
Thank you. A little mix up with the calendar there.
Yeah.
On my part, sorry, it was completely my mistake.
Well, there's a lot going on. I think Monday, there's a lot of stress out there. And I actually, this morning, I went to your Substack page and read what you wrote about. And that's why I'm telling people that if, things, negative things that potentially we're headed for bothers them, to go away,
Yeah.
because, that's the most pessimistic I've heard you or your writings been since I've known you, and that's several years now.
Mm.
So, why don't we start off with what you wrote, and that you've come to the conclusion that there is a force. Um, I use the analogy someone asked you about Spectre,
Yeah.
right? So, the kind of, the hub of conspiracy of the man behind the curtain, which has been going on for a long time. I mean, you could go all the way back to the Rothschilds in Europe and
Yeah.
all of that, and Trilateral Commission, and I've been hearing about this my whole career. Uh, who's the new global leader, Thomas?
I don't know.
Has
The
he
thing is that
presented himself yet?
no. I like I come from an angle of a macroeconomic empiricist. So basically, what it means that we go where the data goes, and it was like, well, actually, the attacks in Israel on the 7th of October, like, I don't. My friend served several tours in the Middle East, UN intelligence as an officer. He told me many years ago that nothing in and around Israel happens without the Mossad knowing.
Yeah.
So now they try to explain to us that they practiced with these gliders to strike on Israel, and Mossad and Shin Bet would have not known. I don't believe it. And Egypt even warned them 3 days prior. So, then I started to think that what is why is there a it's everything is just we are on a path, it seems, of escalation.
Yeah.
And there are like so many kind of circumstantial evidence pointing to the fact that, okay, now there is really strange things happening that shouldn't happen. But one of the, like, coming from a macroeconomic empiricist background, one of the crucial pieces of information, what we always look for when we analyze a time series, is a structure. And there's like this thing called the stochastic trend process, which says that something, a major factor lacking from our analysis, it drives the series. And the series, it creates a random walk. It goes where it may, basically.
Right.
And one of the principal, like, methods or principles in analyzing a time series is that if there is a systematic error somewhere, it's not an error, it's a structure. It's just something you missed. And, like, I talk about this often with my good friend Martin Enlund, who was the chief currency strategist at Nordea Bank for several years. And we talk about this several times, that if there seems to be an error from many political leaders to the direction which is not beneficial for any Western country as a whole. And this ranges from all kinds of stuff, from economic policies to immigration policies, everything. So there is this systematic thing. And because it's systematic, it hints that there's a structure. And because there's a structure, it's something that we're not seeing. So we're not seeing it in the political front. So we are basically, this led me to the conclusion that there has to be some force behind it. Kind of like this, statistical
Well,
thinking.
have you read
Taken a bit further.
the Fourth Turning?
Yeah, I know about it. I haven't read it, but I
Okay.
know
All
about
right.
it.
Well, anyway, it's not, it's not conspiracy. It's a economic model.
Mm,
Also, you know, people have been talking about the Great Reset since COVID.
yeah,
It's what you're coming around to is there's a force behind this Great Reset, which a lot of people believe is a World Economic Forum, but they're just the puppets, whoever's
yeah,
pulling the strings
yeah.
on them. So, are you a believer that perhaps war is also part of the Great Reset to cause a lot of grief
I think
and people to submit?
yeah, I think the Great Reset is something like what would be a correct word for it? It's kind of a play that is played, uh, which is semi-visible to us. But I don't think it's a concept. But
Yeah,
behind is something else. The thing that really got me thinking is that this systematic cycle of escalation, now visible again in Ukraine,
right.
completely useless attack on the Kursk oblast
Right.
or region, and now killing of the now I forgot the names, but the Hamas leader
Right.
and the other guy in
In the
uh,
middle of peace talks,
yeah,
which he was a
it makes absolutely
negotiator.
no sense. Makes absolutely
Yeah.
no sense.
Mm,
So there is this, and our base scenario came in October that there is a deepening cycle of escalation. Even there might be a pauses on it, it's deepening. And this is the scenario that currently holds. So we are going deeper and deeper into escalation. Personally, I do worry what happens after Sunday when the Olympics end.
okay.
It's just like the Ukraine war started after the Peking Winter Olympics ended, 2 days after, and
Yeah, that's right.
yeah,
And Putin went to China during those Olympics.
yeah, he
Yeah,
did,
I
and now
remember that.
yeah, and
Yeah.
now we enter a period where there the U.S. presidential elections are coming,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Democrats and those who power they want to keep the status quo, let's say,
Yeah.
and I think it's a very precarious era to which we now enter. I wrote like 2 weeks ago that one of my worries now is that myself and our firm GNS Economics, we have missed something, and there will be an actual black swan event somewhere in the world. It's probably caused. It is man-made. So someone does something really exceptional, and everybody got scared and gets scared, and things start to move from their own. But the
How about
point be,
this, Tom? How about this? Let me lay one on you.
yeah,
Um, the recent problem that we had with that program from CrowdStrike
mm,
that disabled a lot of things, businesses, disrupted things.
yeah,
And now Israel is preparing its citizenry to be prepared to be without power while they're in the bunkers for
yeah,
days or weeks
mm,
um, coming up when this um, expands and Hezbollah attacks,
mm,
and that perhaps there's some type of event again with the internet,
mm,
and if Israel goes through their internet, their power grid or internet being taken down, and it
mm.
happens here, they'll be finger pointing at Iran,
Of course.
and that is
Russia
the
too. Iran,
red
Russia.
line.
Yeah.
What do you
Mm.
think?
It's possible. I don't.
Am I crazy? I
No,
mean,
no, no. These are. I think these are plausible scenarios. We just don't, because this is a game now, a big geopolitical, chess game, if you may. It mostly played in the shadows. It's just I think what they choose, if we assume that they exist, this dark force, depends on what happens on the ground. How can they manipulate people? What will people believe and all that? So I'm just writing a piece which basically says that NATO has just two options in Ukraine. Either they silently go into the peace agreement, like saying that suddenly you wake up and New York Times says peace in Ukraine and that's it. There's so much political capital invested to the war in Ukraine and Russia losing that there will be no conferences and it just quietly goes away. And the second is that they need such a massive escalation that it will draw other NATO countries, or they will agree that they need to start defending Ukraine and take troops there and even start war against Russia. And I can only think one such drastic escalation, and it's a nuclear detonation in Europe, in Ukraine. That's the absolute.
I just brought that up during F.A.C.E.
Okay.
When Ryan was talking about escalation. I said, because that's been hanging out there and threats about it for a long time. The use of a tactical nuke, because I talked to this one guy, Harold Milgram, who knew Putin and said that the way he de-escalates is by escalating. He escalates to de-escalate, and that would have people needing to change their diapers all over the world if he did something like that.
But the thing here is that there is like no need for Russia to escalate. It's winning the war. It's practically gone. So why would they escalate in a way? I'm thinking that if it happens, it will be a false flag from NATO. And this is, of course, for many this sounds like a batshit crazy idea. But again, if we assume that
everything, it's Rod Serling time, man. You ever watch Twilight Zone?
Yeah, of course. As a very young child, but still.
Don't you feel like we're living in an episode that even Rod Serling couldn't write?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, and X-Files. Of course, I grew watching that in the teenage years.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I think that the one we have to come back to the possibility there is this dark force, and they want to escalate massively because of divide et impera. So if there is this force, I think the only aim I can think they would have is to create such a massive chaos that they could install some kind of global control mechanism or mechanisms. That could be the aim. How
about someone steps up and war breaks out, but there's a peacemaker?
Yeah, that's the other option. Yeah. And we just how this comes to forecasting and all the stuff you are doing is that if there is such a force, it means that we are going into an era of extreme volatility and possibly market crashes. And if there's one thing I can show, if you give me the screen, I saw just one thing regarding this.
You got it.
Yeah. So one thing. It's this. So, like when there was this, you see this? I hope. Yeah. So when there was this, this flash crash, basically of global asset markets, it's just we had been anticipating it since April because the liquidity withdrawal will happen in July usually. So, but if it passed, there was a massive bailout. It has to have been because it bounced the next day, like on Tuesday. It made absolutely no sense in Nikkei. So central banks stepped in. But let's say that this kind of cycle of escalation deepens, and then the recession signals from the US are very strong, are getting stronger. I think they will become very strong in let's say fall, October. And you remember what happened when there was a liquidity withdrawal from a massive bubble and then a recession signals happening at the same time. What happened last time in the US and when?
Oh, you're talking about the housing crash?
No, actually the 1929
all the way
crash.
back.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I will publish a piece on it maybe next week or something. But this is our forecast of global money supply. It comes from Bank of Japan, of Japan, Euro area, US, United Kingdom, and China. So we track them and we forecast. This dotted line is a forecast, and you see there's a quite a heavy drop in April, which, well, it didn't manifest as bad as it could have in the markets.
Yeah, we
But
had a little pullback, nothing major. Yeah.
But this big one here forecasted is the October figure. And this is the point. Like in 2022 and past year, there was a market downdraft. And now if we assume there's a recession, there is some kind of possibly a major escalation, liquidity withdrawal at the same time. It's really difficult to see any other end result of that than a crash and a massive, even bigger central bank bailout after that. But Japan is in massive trouble. They need to do all kinds of crazy stuff. And I just want to all the people in your community to think the possibility that there is this cycle of escalation which some forces is driving, and it is not like benevolent. So it will affect the global, let's say within the next 12 months, it will have a massive impact on the markets. And if you just go to this era without even giving a thought to this, you are flying blind. We have to accept the possibility there is such a force, and it will try to drive the world into chaos and thus the markets into chaos. So there are many different ways how this can go. But if you do not accept the possibility, considering all that has happened, you are flying blind. And I don't think your investment career will be very successful without you at least considering this option.
Yeah. Well, you saw what happened to the VIX this week, historical.
Yeah.
And that's a sign of a broken market that it did that.
Yeah.
And then gave it all back.
Yeah.
So very unusual move. I always argued that the VIX wasn't broken, but actually, Thomas, and I've told a lot of people this, I was long VIX calls, and I had $40 intrinsic value, and they would not do a trade up there. They would only give you $4.
Why is that?
Because it was rigged. They wouldn't make a market.
Yeah, okay.
In VIX options.
Yeah.
They stopped making a market. There were certain brokerages were also not working at that time. You couldn't get in. Some people were having trouble.
Yeah, I read
Anyway,
about
that's a real rigged game. They killed a lot of people, but a lot of people, if they didn't act and they were in concert with each other, they didn't have to cover their short positions in options because they didn't trade them, or in some of the derivative products of the VIX, they got bailed out. They got bailed out.
Yeah.
That's not capitalism. That's a managed market that it was unmanageable, or that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
In the first place, we wouldn't have seen a VIX 60 with a 10% sell-off in equities.
Yeah.
That's not commensurate with that kind of move in the VIX, a 10% move in stocks. So there's something wrong, and your liquidity argument is something I've been kind of feeling by just watching markets before we started selling off, Thomas, in mid-July. I put out a tweet and I go, does anyone else think the market's acting strange? Barely trading. Normally you're getting flashes every second, continual trading, and there were pauses in trading. And the TLT isn't a chart anymore. It's dots. Okay. They don't even put, you don't even get a full candle.
Oh,
okay. So there's a lot of stuff out there that, doesn't pass the smell test. I appreciate your courage for coming out and talking about what you see and believe, and building the case for it. And you're an economist. You're You're not that guy. Who is it? You're not Alex Jones
No, no.
trying for clicks. You're
Mm.
just trying to warn people to be careful.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not been easy to go down this rabbit hole, but
No,
that's where the
no,
data leads. But
no.
the one thing I want to say about this October thing still is that we currently consider that we may see a repetition of March 2020 with massive crash and then even a bigger bailout by central banks. So that is kind of what we are learning our customers to be prepared of. Something like that. So that I think we need to keep that possibility in mind. That this was just a dress rehearsal.
Okay. And so, how about the VIX foreshadowing what's going to happen in October by being so erratic?
Yeah.
That's kind of a foreshadowing of what's going to happen in the fall.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
with you. One more
Yeah.
high in the market, 3 drives to the top.
Yeah. And
I'm all over. I'm going to pretend. I think this September or so, I'm going to start pretending I'm Jesse Livermore.
How
All right.
what like
I'm going to start legends of a stock operator.
okay.
Stories of a stock operator. I'm going to start thinking I'm him. And
Yeah.
he was short. He made a lot of money on the crash in that time period you're talking about in the 20s.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And the
right.
thing is that with the 1921, the 29, the first signs of recession came in July. The industrial production index of the Fed dipped the first time, and now we had the really horrible ISM numbers from the US just a few weeks ago. So I was immediately something similar might be happening. So this is
Yeah, real estate's going to surprise people too. Everyone has all their money tied up in real estate. Now they have a lot of equity, untapped equity that they should tap. Don't you think they should tap it?
Well,
Tap that equity, I mean, people
and
have,
you should use it as a leverage. No, then you you will face terrible margin calls.
okay.
I would be warning against it, but I don't know. It's just
so
because
you just let the price depreciate by 50%, and that would only take it back to pre-COVID.
if you sell it, then it's a different thing, of course. But I don't did I understand correctly what you meant. But anyways,
All right. Anyway, thanks for cheering us all up. I know people saying that to you. It gives a lot of food for thought. And I'm thinking, Thomas, that even if you make a lot of money, the kind of narrative that you're talking about is kind of where we're headed, but the force it's taking us probably isn't even going to matter.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, it's complete control. I guess you could take, there's going to be all kinds of things like, after this crash, maybe that ushers in the central bank digital currency and more. That's part of the plan.
Yeah, that could come.
And the dollar, the dollar, according to my work, even though it's trying to hold, has broken down. That's the dollar has spoken.
Yeah.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah, but just ending words here that just be careful what happens after Sunday. If nothing, like if we arrived early October and nothing happened, then I think we dodged a bullet. But I just urge everyone to be cautious because black swans may appear or something other drastic. So it's a very precarious period. As an history freak, I know it. My mom is actually a retired lecturer of history in the society. So we've been talking about this.
Yeah, so this cycle is rhyming only on steroids, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, basically, yeah, and just I'm talking more about actual events in the real world than in markets. That something it's a precarious period. You know, something very drastic can happen in Europe or in the Middle East, or you know. So that's what I'm saying. Just be careful. Surprises may come.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming here and being a watchman for us. And
Glad to.
people coming from different methodologies are coming to the same conclusion from all different planes. You know, economic, spiritual. They're all basically saying the same thing.
Yes,
So
I agree.
that's interesting. That it's on all levels, and this is where you could find Thomas's article if you want to read his stuff and subscribe. Here you go. And it's not, you know, what I like about your writing is that, you know, you get right to the point. I don't have to read a chapter.
Yeah.
You get it done. You know, your words mean something, and you know, and you say it without beating around the bush. So
Yeah,
this
that's
is
the Finnish way. Thank you.
yeah. Is it really okay? And this is a disclaimer saying that in case everything turns out to be wonderful and we end up in nirvana over the next 12 months, that you can't hold Thomas responsible for things working out.
No, we just warn. Yeah.
Don't blame him if everything's okay.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah.
you know, there's guys that see things that, you know, we talk about.
Mm.
We wish.
Yeah.
We're hoping we're wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, great talking to you, buddy.
Thanks. Likewise.
All right. Stay safe. We'll be talking in November is
Yeah,
when the
sounds good.
rotation comes up. So that'll be, you know,
Then we know.
Yeah, we'll know. Time will tell.
Time will tell.
Tincture of time. All
Yep.
right, buddy.
Yeah, thanks.
Have a great weekend.
Thanks, you too.
Thomas Malinen, everybody. You could follow him on X at MT Malinen. Read him. And I hope everyone had a good week. That's going to be it. And hope you have a great weekend. Recharge. And we'll see what. Hi, Lorena. You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome, Laura. Thanks again, Thomas. Don't just count your pips. Count your blessing. Yeah, ending note. Then we know, Khalid. All right, adios. Join the team in 13 minutes.